Hey guys, welcome to the James Bond Show. I'm your host, Krazy Kajeevie, and welcome to this edition of Casino Royale review. I'm going to be reviewing this with no fears, limits, or substitutes. Now, as you guys know, I love to show my collector pieces, or some of my collector pieces from each film I go through. So, without further ado, let's get into this. Well, I kind of lied, because I want to do something first. I would like to give a shout out to some of my my subscribers that comment regularly. You guys get rewarded with getting your names called out across YouTube. So let's get into this. I want to thank very much Stuart Wallington, always for your fantastic comments and your support of the James Bond Show. Clone Commander Foggy, that is a really cool username. Thank you so much for your great comments as well. Truth in Reflection, my Christian brother, thank you so much. I love reading your comments. Thanks for the support, Truth in Reflection. Also, Vitex 2002, fairly new to my channel, fairly new commenting, but love your comments, keep them coming. Imperfectly Perfect, love your comments too, thank you very much. So that's Imperfectly Perfect. Anthony Taberner, you potty mouth, but I love your comments, your passion, and keeping it real. Also, now this is an interesting one to pronounce. It's going to sound like GG, but it's ASSGG. Loving your comments. They're quite insightful, poignant, and keep them coming. Also, Exquisite Mano, thank you very much, my Greek brother. Richard Greater, thank you for your great comments as well. George Bennett, love your comments. Whenever you comment, they stand out. Really great and thoughtful comments as well. Joe V, who's also on the Facebook page, James Bond Real Fans, and he's one passionate, great 007 fan. So thank you, Joe V. Zombie Mammoth, you've been with the James Bond Show since I think the beginning. So thank you so much, Zombie Mammoth. Also, Matthew Hughes, my brother from Langley over in America, brother from another mother. Thank you very much. And last but not least, number 14, Robert Harvey. Robert Harvey has been commenting furiously as he's been going through my James Bond film reviews especially. Thank you very much, Robert Harvey. Okay guys, I'm going to show you a few specials, then I'm going to get into this Casino Royale movie review. Strap your seatbelts in, because this is going to be full on, full of information, full of details, and my thoughts of the film. But I am about to show you a piece I have not showed anyone ever, and this is a really special piece. There's only a few of these in the world. This is actually off the film set of Casino Royale. This is Alex Dimitrios's Visa card. Again, this is not a screen accurate prop replica. This is actually from the film. Now, this wasn't screen seen, but what it was one of the cards they used in the actual Alex Dimitrios wallet for the lighting test. So this card was used for the lighting test. So I'll just flip it around. Not much there, it's just quite plain. So that is his actual, well, that's a Visa card they used. So Phil Mayhew, who was the cinematographer, these guys would have basically been using that. And that's what films do. They go to such detail and spend so much money on even the little things like that. So an actual credit card, and it ended up being used for the lighting test. So that's in my Casino Royale collection. Now, I'm going to get straight into a Big Daddy. Now, pretty much the pieces I'm showing tonight for Casino Royale are ridiculously rare, and they are, you know, people say, oh, where do you get this stuff? How do you afford it? Well, I work really hard. I don't go and spend, I don't have inheritance money to spend like certain collectors out there. I work for it, you know, and if anyone wants to spend their inheritance, good luck to them. As long as they enjoy doing that, that's good for them. But I get out and work there, and a lot of collectors do, and they work hard for their stuff. So that's how I get it, and I'm sure that's how lots of others do. But let me show you this. Okay, so this is from Omega. Now, this was never for sale, so it's the pieces, the advertising, or as I call them, POS, point of sale pieces, that were never for sale. These are, well, hard, big buggers to get, and this is heavy. I'll tell you what, this is quite a workout. Now what this is from Omega. So this it opens out, and it's basically like cards, and it's a display set for the Omega watch. So back in Casino Royale, of course, the watch was the Omega Seamaster. So that was to display it. Now this came with a few other little things. I'm going to put it down there. So there was a beautiful Omega booklet. Check that out. Now it's got some great images from the film. You guys are going to love this. There's the dealer from the film, and he was an actual real dealer, not an actor as well. I'll have one too. I love this guy in the film. He was great whenever he was in it. So there you go, guys. And this woman here, a little bit of information for you if you're not aware. The little Asian lady that sat at the table, she was actually the actress from You Only Live Twice with Sean Connery, who says, "Darling, I give your very best, duck." That's her. Okay, so that is a cool little Omega book. Now, this comes with the big card set I just showed you. This is a little card set, but it's all one piece. Again, very rare. There aren't too many of those, and you can never buy them in the shops. Now, a display stand for this with a great image of Daniel Craig, again for Casino Royale, part of this set. That's the backing board, and there you go. Have a look at that, guys. And that is cool, and Daniel Craig looking very 007 there, and the back is just blank there. So I'm going to put that down there and create more room for myself up here. So this here is a limited edition. I love this. I just love how this is displayed. So this is a DVD case. I'll open this up here. And these were on sale to the public. Now, the DVD's probably fallen down there. So there is, I'm just going to slot that in. So there you go, guys. And there's chips. This packet of chips is open, so poker chips. Not chippies. But poker chips comes with 2 cards, and there's a few other things that comes with a little dealer badge thing and dice and all that, but they're actually on display up there. And there is some of the chips. And I love the sound of casino chips. Check this out. I love that. Don't know why. Maybe the small things amuse small little minds like mine, but hey. So there we go. If anyone else has one of these, let me know in the comments below. I'm going to put this down here for now. Okay, guys. So what I also want to show you. Now, this was an unofficial, not a licensed product. This was probably licensed from Aston Martin, but not through Eon. It wasn't an official James Bond piece, but it is a silver DBS like the one he drove in Casino Royale. And I found this when I was visiting Sydney back at the end of 2015. So I had to have it, Aston Martin DBS. So I bought that and used that for my James Bond collection. Now, these two are very old, great pan books. I've actually read that edition of Casino Royale as well. So I sat and read that over about 5-day period, that one. And this one here, now this is from 1959. So this was, I think it was the 4th print from memory. Let me have a look. This edition published 1955, and then it says 4th printing 59. So that's from 1959. And that one, I think that one from memory is from around 1963. So there you go. Okay, guys, so that's the collection stuff I'm showing you. Obviously a little bit out of my James Bond collection. So let's get into this review. So Casino Royale was Daniel Craig's first James Bond film, came out in 2006, directed by Martin Campbell, who rebooted the Bond series back in 1995 with the Pierce Brosnan Bond film GoldenEye, and Martin Campbell is back for this. Casino Royale had a budget of $150 million and made $606 million worldwide. It ran for 144 minutes, so it took over past On Her Majesty's Secret Service as the longest running James Bond film. So, what is the film about? Well, it's kind of, I'd say loosely based on the novel, because there's a lot of added scenes to the film, which aren't in the novel, but there's a lot of inspiration from the novel, and I'll talk a bit more about that. But basically, the film, what we see is James Bond at the beginning of his career, and we see him getting his 007 license, which James Bond should have, and not Larry Lunchbox Lynch in the new film. So he gets his 007 license, and he goes off after a badass named Le Chiffre, played by Mads Mikkelsen. Now, Le Chiffre is basically using clients' money to bet against industry. In this case, he's betting against Skyfleet. So the MI6 get onto this. They see that this guy's a bit of a badass and he's doing things. Also, it interlocks with a mission that M gives Bond, which is to go after what they thought was just a bomb maker. And James Bond discovers later on that this bomb maker is mixed in with Le Chiffre and a plot to blow up the Skyfleet range to bet against that. So to bring him down, M sends James Bond off to the Casino Royale in Montenegro to bring Le Chiffre down. And that is basically the story. Now, within the story, James Bond meets Vesper Lynd, who's from the novel, of course, and in the film she's played by Eva Green. And again, I'll talk more about the actors and the performances a little bit later on after I get through the overall plot of the film. So James Bond gets to know Vesper, their relationship's a bit prickly at start, and then they form this relationship and there is great chemistry between them. Also, Felix Leiter is back, and well, he's black too. And this is the second time Felix Leiter has been played by a black actor, this time Jeffrey Wright. Of course, he was played by Bernie Casey back in the unofficial James Bond film Never Say Never Again in 1983. Okay, so let's go through some of the stages. Now, I want to start with the pre-title sequence. The pre-title sequence starts in the Czech Republic, and we see James Bond getting his 007 license because he needs to make 2 kills. Now, we see a British Secret Service agent, a station guy named Droyden, and James Bond has basically discovered that Droyden is selling secrets, and M doesn't mind him making a little bit money on the side as long as it's not selling secrets. And the casting here of the actor playing Droyden is fantastic, and you can see, even though this is a short scene between the two actors, Daniel Craig and this actor, there's great chemistry between them, and there's menace and there's tension, and it is shot beautifully by Martin Campbell and his cinematographer, director of photography, Phil Mayhew, who was also his DOP on GoldenEye. Now, Phil Mayhew this guy is fantastic, and the lighting here, especially when this is done on 35mm film and it's done black and white, it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's really Fleming. The entire scene is oozing with Fleming. So James Bond kills him, but we flash back. We're kind of in a flashback for half of this, and we see a flashback of Bond killing. Basically, we don't know too much about this man, but he's a contact of Jordan. Bond kills him in a vicious, full-on toilet fight scene, and it's really entertaining. Now, this pre-title sequence proves that it doesn't have to be, just like Goldfinger in 1964, it can be a more simple PTS, pre-title sequence, that doesn't have to have the big money spent on it, but it can be wildly entertaining and just riveting. And that's what I love about this pre-title sequence, and I've never heard a bad word ever said about it, and people love and appreciate this, and I think really because Ian Fleming's Bond oozes through Daniel Craig's performance, and I will talk more about that a little later on. Then we have, after the credits, we see Le Chiffre giving his money to Mr. White. Well, basically, Steve O'Bannon is giving the money to Le Chiffre, and Mr. White has hooked him up. So sorry for the incorrect information there, but you Bond fans know what I meant though. So Steve O'Bannon, who's like a freedom fighter, he's giving this money to Le Chiffre. Le Chiffre bets it against basically the trend that's happening with Skyfleet. But this is our first introduction of Mr. White. And he looks very much like a real-life character and scumbag global elitist George Soros. If you don't know who George Soros is, guys, look him up, because you will really see the kind of connection between the two men. And I believe George Soros was clearly the inspiration for Mr. White, definitely. Okay, then we go to, as we call it, the parkour free running section. Now, this is one of the greatest, if not the best, foot chase action scene in all of the James Bond franchise. The stunt work here is amazing. The two guys, the stuntmen, doing the jump from crane to crane and then down to the lower level. Wow, 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 as I always say. This is incredible. Now, they did use a wire just to stop the acceleration of their jump, but that's it. There was only CGI used to wipe out the wire, but everything here was done for real. And Sebastian Foucan, who created parkour free running, he is playing Malaka here, and he's great, he's got energy, and this is fantastic. James Bond ends up killing him. M's not happy, she's pissed off, but hey, she makes up with Bond later in a way and sends him off to chase Lashifa. Now, the card scenes, I want to get straight in and talk about the card scenes. The card scenes, as a former director myself, this would have been an absolute nightmare to direct. And I have heard Martin Campbell talk about it in interviews and commentary, etc. like that. And I've heard other Bond people, including Phil Mayhew, talk about it. And I tell you what, the continuity person, whether it was a male or female working on this film, would have had their money cut out for them. It's shot beautifully, it's lit beautifully, and the entire casino scene, I have to give credit where credit's due here. The screenplay by Purvis and Wade, who are back trying to recover from their sins, and I haven't mentioned it in this review yet, from the train wreck that was Die Another Day. These guys got an invite to come back, and I think they were thanking their lucky stars that they got an opportunity to come back. And Paul Haggis, the brilliant writer and director from the Oscar-winning film Crash, Paul Haggis is also working on this script. And I can tell you for a fact, the train scene, the brilliant train scene between where Bond meets Vesper, who's the head of Treasury, who's basically staking the money, Paul Haggis really did the bulk of that scene. I've listened to him talk about it on the commentary and lines that he came up with, so massive writing credit there in that scene to Paul Haggis. Overall, the script of this film is phenomenal. It is a phenomenal script. It's taut, it's sharp, it's witty, and we see some great humour as well. And M in this film finally doesn't overstay her welcome when she's in the film. She's a really good, solid contributor. It's fantastic. Now, I'm going to get into the casting, and I'm going to leave Daniel Craig as James Bond a little to the end. Vesper Lynd, played by Eva Green, gorgeous, sexy, stunning. There's a vulnerability about her, there's a beauty about her, there's a cockiness about her. And when you read the book, Ian Fleming's James Bond Casino Royale book, you can see that she's gone back, she's read this, and you can really see similarities between her portrayal and the character that Fleming created. Mads Mikkelsen as Le Chiffre, or some say Le Chiffre. Wow, his Le Chiffre is brilliant. He is absolutely brilliant. He's perfectly cast. He's got the bleeding eye and all. And is he a bit different probably from the Fleming's mold in the book and different in description? Yeah, he is in a way, but it absolutely works in the hands here of Mads Mikkelsen, who is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful actor. Now, Jeffrey Wright as Felix Leiter. I know he's very popular. He's popular with a lot of people, but I've got to be honest here. I would have liked a little more screen time with him. He has a fair bit, but we don't know he's Felix Leiter until pretty much right at the prickly end, and then we don't see him for the rest of the film. And Jeffrey Wright's portrayal is obviously he's nothing like the Ian Fleming Felix Leiter, and I've got to be honest, he's one of my least favourite Felix Leiters. It's like every scene, and including when he makes his return in Quantum of Solace, he's trying to be tough. Like, I've seen Jeffrey Wright in other films, and in this film, he's putting on this voice, this accent, like almost like he's it's like he's Batman, but without the mask. You know, brother from Langley, name's Lada. Like, he needs a cough lolly. Someone get the man a soother. So he's just tries too hard. I don't really warm to him, and he's okay here, but he's even worse in Quantum of Solace, and I'll get to that in my Quantum of Solace review. So, no, I'm not a big fan of Jeffrey Wright as Felix Leiter, and I loved Bernie Casey, who was the first black Felix Leiter in Never Say Never Again. I loved his interpretation. It was a bit more lighter, and he wasn't trying so hard. That's what I liked, but he had great chemistry in that film with Sean Connery. So, okay, so where do I go next? So, with the cast, now, one of my gripes with the film as well is Judi Dench is M. Now, obviously, this really stuffs up the timeline. This is his first mission, and of course, she is M in the Pierce Brosnan films. I don't like Judi Dench as M. I never have. Well, I've only liked her as M in Goldeneye because I thought this was a really tough, obviously a feminist character, a tough, gritty character, but we never really saw her M again. So is this a new M, and is she a bit lighter for a purpose? Who knows? But I don't think she should have been cast. I think this was a perfect opportunity to recast M and to have, I honestly, 2006, I still think he was very capable for it. I would have cast Anthony Hopkins as M. I definitely would have cast him as M. I think he would have been absolutely brilliant. And I'm sorry guys, Judi Dench fans out there, don't kill me. I just would have gone for someone like Anthony Hopkins, even though I'm very grateful for Ray Fiennes. I think he's doing a great job as M at the moment. But, so that's my little gripe there. Now, there's no Moneypenny in this film, and there is no Q. One of the points of the film, and I'm going to give my rating very soon, one of the points I think would have just taken it to ultimate James Bond level, because there is a little bit of there's something missing from this film, and it is Q, and it is Moneypenny. Now, we wouldn't need to have them, like if you look at On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which for most part is a very serious and obviously sad and moving James Bond film, M and Moneypenny don't hurt that film. In fact, they make it so much stronger. So I think if they included a Q and a Moneypenny in a more serious vein and a heartfelt vein in this film, it would have just made it more James Bond. And when Daniel Craig is here as Bond for the first time, it also just helps us, I think it would have helped settle him in as James Bond to us in that world. And I think, you know, if you want to call them tropes, they are tropes of the James Bond franchise, Q and Moneypenny. So yeah, I wish they were in the film. Now, David Arnold's score, wow, this has got to be, this is his, in my opinion, this is his best score. The score for Casino Royale is fantastic, and Chris Cornell also worked very closely with David Arnold worked very closely with Chris Cornell for the song You Know My Name, and I think it's a banging song. It's an awesome song, and Daniel Kleinman's credit sequence here is fantastic, where you see all the cards and slowly you see bits of like Daniel Craig's face and all that, and you see him in like animated form. Everything is brilliant. David Arnold's music through the rest of the film is fantastic, especially kind of the love romantic scene where they're on the beach and he tells her he loves her. I think that's fantastic. And in the next film, Quantum of Solace, I think David Arnold even goes woo 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 in some parts, even better in a way. But Casino Royale is just a perfect, absolutely perfect score for me. Love it. Get it on CD, guys, if you haven't already got it. Okay, so I'm going to get to finally the elephant in the room. Now, in 2005, when Daniel Craig was announced as James Bond, I remember sitting on my couch and I was like listening to this on the news. And the internet wasn't as crazy hype. The social media wasn't as nuts. Obviously it was all around, but it wasn't crazy like it is today. And I don't even think Facebook was a thing at the time. Okay. I text everyone in my phone. I said, Daniel Craig is not James Bond. Now, I knew Daniel Craig because one of my favourite films, and my favourite film of 2003 was Road to Perdition, and Daniel Craig plays the villain in that up against Tom Hanks. And I looked at that, I remember seeing that, and he always reminded me of like Red Grant, someone that would be like a Russian badass. So when I heard Daniel Craig was in the running and the favourite to be announced. I'm like, not a chance. A couple of days later, it was announced he was James Bond. And I texted everyone in my phone. I said, he's not James Bond. Terrible choice. This is a disgrace. This is so wrong. About 6-7 months later, I saw the trailer. Or 8 months later, whenever it was, I saw the trailer for Casino Royale, the first trailer. I got my phone. I texted everyone that I had texted like that 8 months previously. And I said, just seen the trailer for Casino Royale. Daniel Craig is going to be the best Bond ever. I thought he killed it just in the trailer. When I saw the film, and a lot of people think I'm anti-Daniel Craig, I'm anti-Daniel Craig's politics pushing into Bond when it pushes Ian Fleming out. I think we need change from Daniel Craig. After 14 years, we need massive change. But I'm basing this on this man came in as a dedicated actor and he said, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. If you're serious and you want me in this film, this is what I want to do. I want to bring this James Bond. And he did. For better or worse, he brought a blunt instrument, a killer, a murderer, and in most cases, absolutely humorless, except for some of the scenes with Vesper that I spoke about earlier. So his take on James Bond is a hard brute. Some call it a thug and a killing machine. Now, Ian Fleming's James Bond doesn't like to kill people. He does it because it's part of the job, but he also doesn't like it. Daniel Craig's James Bond likes it. So that goes against Ian Fleming's Bond. Now, is he blonde? Yes, he's blonde. Did I want him to dye his hair? Yeah, I did. But you know what? He still plays the James Bond from the novel. So all these people saying, oh, we can have Idris Elba or a black Bond, a Mexican Bond, Chinese Bond because Daniel Craig was blonde. So what? He had blonde hair. He still, as they extended on in the other films, especially Skyfall, he has a Scottish father, a Swiss mother, Monique Delacroix, and his father, Andrew Bond. They were white, and he came across very imperialistic, and they even showed in Skyfall his British or his Scottish background. So he does play Ian Fleming's James Bond, and yes, he's got blonde hair, but he still does a great job here. Do I admire him in the rest of the films? Well, I'll get to them when I review them. So guys, that's my overall review, but what do I really think of the film? Okay. Casino Royale is one of the greatest James Bond films ever made. This is a phenomenal film. I remember when I saw it at the cinema, I was like, oh my god, wow, wow, wow. And even the posters and that came out for the film were good compared to the crud they're bringing out these days. So I love the film. I think it's beautifully directed, beautifully shot. The score's great. And Daniel Craig brings back Ian Fleming's James Bond, not since the days of Timothy Dalton in 87 and 89. I would have liked the Q. I would have liked the Moneypenny scenes. I would have liked them in there. But still, it's an incredible film. There are a few slow spots, but the model miniature effects are incredible. The airplane, the airport chase scene where the airplane flies down, cop cars go everywhere, is absolutely incredible. The supporting cast is incredible. Also, the action scene in Italy later on, in Venice, with the houses, like the big bubble canister things blowing up. The model miniature work there is incredible, and it's so great. And then the final scene where James Bond, spoiler alert here, confronts Mr. White, and finally, he's in the suit, he's holding the gun, he looks down at Mr. White, and he says, Bond. James Bond, and then the Bond theme kicks in. Epic, absolutely epic. And also the way they did the James Bond, the gun barrel logo was great here. It was really inventive and creative. This is a great film. If you have not seen Casino Royale, well, I apologize for ruining it, but you should have seen it by now because it came out many years ago. It is a great James Bond film. It's Daniel Craig's best James Bond film, and it's proof that Martin Campbell should be cloned and come back, and his clone should direct every James Bond film. Guys, I've been Krazy Kajeevie for the James Bond Show. If you've liked this, please consider subscribing, drop a like on it, and more importantly, leave your comments. Let me know what you thought of my views. What did you think of my views? What did you think of the way I did these things? Do you agree with them? Do you not agree with them? Tell me where you disagree with me. Tell me where you agree with me. Till next time, guys, keep on bonding and say hi to your mum for me.
Kajeevie likes me better than you, brother.